You might think you've seen it all in football, no matter how unlikely it may sound at first. Nevertheless, there are some players who are so blatant that they have set records that are simply unbelievable and will probably never be broken. We want to introduce you to exactly 10 such sensational records in today's video. We show you not only legends with incredible goal and title records, but also goalkeepers who scored more goals than world-class strikers, and even a person who easily surpassed an incredible record set by Cristiano Ronaldo. So it's going to be extremely interesting. So stay tuned here at BrainBite. Oh, and write us in the comments what your favorite record in football is. We are curious. At number 10, we start directly with a legendary footballer who not only became world champion with the German national team in 2014, but is also the holder of a record that has a very special prestige. It's about none other than Lukas Podolski, who has been known for one thing in particular in his career: his left foot, with which he scored goals, one of which was more beautiful than the next. It was precisely for this quality that he was awarded a very special award a few years ago, which no one will dispute so quickly. No player has scored the goal of the month on Art Sportschau more often than Podolski. While other players can be happy to be nominated for the Traditions Award once in their careers, Lukas Podolski has scored the most beautiful goal of the month 12 times. Although Podolski says that he is not nearly as interested in individual awards as team successes, overall, this is a record of which he can be very proud. At number 9, we continue with what is probably the best player in the world at the moment, who provided a historic moment a few years ago that will probably never be repeated. In fact, Robert Lewandowski. Lewandowski, who has been playing for FC Bayern since 2014, has long since become an absolute club legend there, who has almost single-handedly ensured that the Munich team has won countless titles in recent years. In addition to numerous hat-tricks and dream goals, Lewandowski had his greatest moment in 2015, when he set new standards in a Bundesliga match against Wolfsburg. Actually battered and unfit for a game over the full distance, the star striker was substituted late in the second half, as Bayern simply did not manage to crack the Wolfsburg defense. However, this situation changed abruptly when Lewandowski scored an incredible 5 goals in just 9 minutes. Nothing like this had ever been seen before in professional football, and even veteran star coach Pep Guardiola couldn't believe his eyes. Since that game at the latest, it was clear to even the last critic that Bayern had signed one of the best players in their club's history in Lewandowski. At number 8, we continue with a player who holds an extremely curious record and doesn't really depend on football. While stars like Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo are by far the richest footballers in the world, there is one star who may have even more money, and that is Martin Braithwaite of FC Barcelona. Braithwaite, who is undoubtedly very talented as a Danish international, has other sources of income besides football that could make him the richest footballer in the world, according to some sources. In addition to his salary at FC Barcelona, Braithwaite owns real estate worth $250 million, which he acquired privately through an investment company, is the owner of a fashion company, and is involved in numerous startups and companies. Although Braithwaite has never had the influence of Messi or Ronaldo on the pitch, he is probably at least as wealthy as the very biggest superstars. Let's continue with another German legend who broke a record in 2014 that was actually considered unadjustable. It's about Miroslav Klose, who became the most successful World Cup goal scorer of all time. In his 5 World Cup appearances between 2002 and 2014, the longtime Werder Bremen striker scored an incredible 16 goals, making him the sole World Cup record scorer. This record was held until 2006 by the Brazilian Ronaldo with 15 goals, which for many was considered absolutely uncatchable, since Klose was considered by many to be too old and unfit at his last World Cup. Hardly anyone thought it possible that he would ever score more World Cup goals than Ronaldo. However, in the legendary semi-final against Brazil, in which Germany won 7-1, he scored in irresistible fashion and easily equaled Ronaldo's record. We continue with a player who has been extremely ridiculed throughout his career and has attracted attention above all for his megalomania. Niklas Bender. Bender, who was able to celebrate some successes as a Danish international and especially at Arsenal FC, became more and more of an internet meme over time, after he often claimed with full conviction that he was the best player in the world, and that not even Messi and Ronaldo could hold a candle to him. However, despite all the ridicule of his playing qualities, Bender set a record during his time at Arsenal London, which is truly astonishing. He came on as a second-half substitute in a Premier League match against Tottenham Hotspur and scored an incredible 1.8 seconds. To this day, this is the fastest goal scored by a substitute of all time, and shows that even much ridiculed players like Bender can create special moments. Next, we come to a Brazilian who you have probably never heard of, but who holds 2 world records that will probably never be broken. It's about Rogério Ceni, who played as a goalkeeper for Sao Paulo FC for 23 years from 1992. During this time, he stood an incredible 1-17 times on the pitch, and thus still holds the record for the most professional players of all time. In addition to this fierce record, however, Ceni was known for something else. He scored a sensational 131 goals, even though he always played as a goalkeeper. In addition to his goalkeeping talent, Ceni was also by far the most gifted free-kick taker in his team, scoring an incredible 62 times from direct free kicks. For comparison, Cristiano Ronaldo has scored just 47 free-kick goals in his career. Speaking of Cristiano Ronaldo, of course, the Portuguese superstar should not be missing from a list of blatant football records. In this list, however, we do not dedicate ourselves to just any CR7 record, but to a very special one, namely the record for the most football records. No other player has set more records in his career than Cristiano Ronaldo. It is impossible to list them all individually. However, we don't want to withhold the most spectacular ones from you. With 807 goals to his name, he is not only the most dangerous player the world has ever seen, he is also the most prolific Champions League goal scorer, by far the most prolific goal scorer in Real Madrid's history, and the most famous celebrity on Instagram with over 410 million followers. However, the record he broke in mid-2021 is particularly fierce. Since then, he has been the best goal-getter in the history of the world's national teams, with over 111 goals. However, there is one person who surpasses even this record, and that is Christine Sinclair. Although you may not have heard of her, Christine Sinclair is the person with the most goals ever scored for a national team. Since the beginning of her career, the Canadian has scored an incredible 188 times in official matches for her country. In addition to this blatant record, she also played an outstanding 308 times for Canada, making her the undisputed record player of her nation. Taken together, these appearances and the number of goals she has scored ensure that she is considered by many to be one of the best footballers of all time and will continue to break many more records in the future. Next, we come to a goalkeeper who, while having set an incredible number of bests and records, rarely gets the glory and honor he deserves, as he has been overshadowed by Manuel Neuer for most of his career. We are talking about Marc-Andre ter Stegen, who has been the undisputed #1 goalkeeper for FC Barcelona for many years. During his time at Barca, he not only won some important titles and played with legends such as Lionel Messi or Anders Iniesta, he also became a world-class keeper who was able to set some records. According to some statistics, his strength lies not only in the goalkeeping game itself, he is also said to be extremely technically talented, which is probably why he is probably the most passing and accurate goalkeeper in the world. In addition to his passing strength and reflexes on the line, however, he is said to hold another unofficial record that seems absolutely unbreakable. Thanks to his jumping power, ter Stegen is said to be able to fend off balls over 3 meters high from the air, and thus be able to jump higher than most other goalkeepers. Although he has not set as many team records as other keepers, on an individual level, Marc-Andre ter Stegen is at the top. Last but not least, on the one we come to a footballer who is not only seen by many as the greatest sports legend of all time, but is also the holder of a record that is highly unlikely to be broken. It's about none other than Pelé. Pelé played for the Brazilian national team between 1957 and 1971, and is still considered the best Brazilian ever to kick a ball. In his breathtaking career, he has not only scored hundreds of goals and inspired millions of people to play football, he has also set a record that is absolutely incredible. He was allowed to lift the World Champions Trophy 3 times. At the time of his first victory in 1958, he was just 17 years old and shot his country to World Cup triumph all by himself. He was also the undisputed star of the tournament in the other World Cup titles in 1962 and 1970. laying the foundation for Brazil to remain the most successful team in World Cup history. And that's it for our video and 10 football stars who have set unique records. Let us know in the comments which one you found the most blatant and who your favorite footballer is. Otherwise, like this video if you liked it and feel free to leave a subscription.